Welcome to the Sacred Emergence podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sacred Emergence. It's Michelle Wong here, and I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Hannah Talbot, who is a dear friend of mine, and I'm so excited for all of you to meet her and her magnetic energy. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. And for our listeners, Hannah is a Reiki master. She lives in the greater Seattle area. We've been fast friends ever since we met. So it's been a few years.
Yep.
Yeah. And we thought today we'd jam on like business evolution and just the journey of all that. And we talked a lot before this episode was recorded, and it was just I think it's such an important topic to talk about. Mm-hmm. And like branding and naming and like, yeah.
And just evolving in business in general. And that, sometimes that takes, not sometimes, but often evolving in your business requires you to push all your boundaries and move through fear and get real clear on things and evolving, because all that is scary and hard. It can feel tough, So that was kind of where we left off, was like, that's happening and it's so good and it's so great. It's also exhausting.
Totally. Yeah. Well, why don't we start back like where like your business is evolving as we speak, and but your original business, like why don't you tell listeners like what it's about and what you do?
Yeah, I'm literally right smack in the middle of the evolution that we speak of. So the business that I started 2 years ago is called Tribe Life Events. And it started as personally curated yoga events that come to you to celebrate and honor all of your life's occasions. And I love it. And I still, that is always going to be a part of it. It's this way of bringing personal ritual into the celebrating that we do or honoring for moments in our lives. I think that's such an important work, and I love the events. But the business continued to just grow and grow and grow. And it became a lot of workshops and classes all over the greater Seattle area, whether it be for a private event or open to the public. And then it also grew into mindfulness for the workplace. So going into, corporate and, smaller teams and networking groups. I mean, just anybody who wants to hear about incorporating mindfulness into their everyday life in easy and practical ways. My background is 20 years of management and HR experience. And so it makes complete sense to me to talk to teams and to talk to people about it. And then Reiki. Reiki became a big part, and it truly does touch everything that I do. I don't really teach any yoga now without incorporating Reiki into it. I also am a Reiki teacher and developed a program with my Reiki master called Soul Plus Reiki, where we certify people and do a 6-week program and mentorship. And so truly the business has evolved, and then it's finally evolving to what the ultimate dream always was to have a space. I started on my journey about 5 years ago, living in the corporate world. And when I decided that I wanted out, and kind of was shifting into this other life, decided I want a yoga studio. And so I had built the business plan and the mission statement and everything for that. And like all of the dreams that I have always had that I've been doing with this work and with my entrepreneurship have been at the core this mission, which is to, help others land in their heart center and to create that as a ripple effect in our community. And so everything comes back to that. It's like, and some of it's been unconscious, right? Like, and I've had to ask myself, like, wait, what am I doing? Oh, wait, it does relate back to that mission statement. Okay, cool. I'm on track. And so as I've evolved and now I'm ready to open up a small space, and I'm so excited for it, it's just become really apparent that the business name that I started with, Tribe Life Events, no longer fits what I do. And then it also became very apparent in my continued work on myself, and as somebody who cares about community and cares about where I live and cares about the why I'm doing things. I have really become aware that using the word tribe for profitability is really, it's just not good. It's not cool anymore. I don't know. It never was, right? But I'm aware now that it's hurtful and it's harmful to people.
Well, let's back up a bit. Yeah, like, so for listeners who might not know, like the word tribe is considered cultural appropriation. Like we're taking from another culture the word tribe and using it for our own. So I love that you just highlighted for profitability. And I think there's like people we're not aware, it's like, it's a cool word. It's like one syllable is that?
Well, and I think that it really marks what our society is craving, which is connection, and which is a place to land and to feel like we, I think we know that's why this, we're having a new awakening of like spirituality, and because we're so hungry for that connection. And so the idea of like, yeah, my tribe, and that's what the business was based on, was like, no, we come to you and your people.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you and your people. But yeah.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think it's amazing that you're like, I know that as we were talking, it's like your whole branding and all of your marketing, your branding, your logo, like all of it was centered around Tribe Life Events. So there's a lot of like financial investment in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and I want to say too, as we're talking, here's the deal, folks. This conversation is sticky. It's uncomfortable. I'm not 100%. I don't feel like I'm a exceptionally resourced person on the topic, but I'm really trying to be. And so I just want to like put that out there that I'm learning too. And so I'll probably say a lot that I'll look back on in a year and be like, God, I've learned so much since then. But that's part of this learning, is sort of saying like, I'm willing to step into this conversation and listen and get it wrong, but be open to hearing how to get it right. So starting with that, and then, rebranding is scary in, in that, and in lots of ways, right? You brought up the financial aspect. When I said this to you earlier, truly, the business, my soul sister that I started the business with brought up very early on in our relationship that she was a little concerned about the name, and I just wasn't in a place to even hear her. And so there's been this little tiny chirp, from the beginning that like, that's something to explore, right? And then as I've done a lot of my own inner work, and then a lot of practitioner work, learning how to work with the medicine of the earth in a way that is and honoring, right, myself and Mama Gaia, and other cultures, and where it came from, right? So I've been becoming more and more aware of like, so it was kind of there. Then I received a call out from somebody that I deeply respect and wanted to work with and collaborate with, and they were like, "Hey, heads up." No, this they didn't want to work with me because of my name. And that was like, whoa. And so I had to sit with it and really look at it and really get into the crunchiness of it. And one of the first things that was in my head, of course, was, but I've financially invested. I'm all in. Like, I'm all in. I just bought another banner and put it on the space that I leased. Like, I signed my name that, I have an LLC. I have boxes of cards. I've paid for a logo. I've paid for a website. All the shit. There's so much stuff, right? And like, I'm a teeny tiny entrepreneur. Everything that I've made, I've put back into my business, right? So I could have these beautiful things. But the truth is that what my business is about is healing and love. And so if one person says, this hurts, this isn't okay, it's like, then we start again. And so it's and it really, at the end of the day, right, there's it's just stuff. It's just, right. And so now it's actually forcing me to sort of evolve and get into some of the stuff that I was really scared to do as a new business owner. Build my own website, create my own logo. And there's so many resources out there now to like help you do this. But that in and of itself, right? It's time too. It's time, which is our most valuable commodity. So yeah, it's been a rough one to kind of wade through it, but I knew it was necessary. And so I've really been sitting with it. And I'm so grateful to the person who was brave enough to say like, hey, I only work with people that really resonate with me and what I want my brand to represent. I mean, and when we do that, when we ask each other to level up, to just listen and to be aware of how our actions affect others, like serious change happens. And I mean, that's what I'm signed up for. So
yeah. And I just have to commend you for being willing to look at it versus like brush it aside. And like, that just speaks to like, with your own, like, regardless of the business name, just like your intention and like the heart you have at the core of your business and what it really means and represents. Like, I mean, that has been, and it's been part of you, and I think there's integrity there. And so it's like, for you to be willing to look at, okay, like, what's that crunchiness, like the uncomfortable part, and like, oh my gosh, like, it's very confronting, but you're not afraid. That just speaks so much to like just your willingness to like, okay, what for the greater good,
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that it's like, I'm here to serve and I'm here to learn. I'm a forever student, and we have to be okay with getting it wrong and screwing up and saying, how do we do this right? How do we do this better? And yeah, so it's beautiful, but it's messy. Yeah.
Well,
it's been a beautiful process to start to go. And we live in, we happen to both live in the greater Seattle area, where we actually have a lot of resources where we can actually go to groups and learn, and we can actually, we have a lot of resources. I know not everywhere does. And this conversation about my brand name sparked a lot of interesting conversations, right? Because when I would ask my friends and family it was very, the responses were very much all over the map. And a lot of responses came from the place that I was 2.5 years ago when we started the business, which was like, of course it's, no, I don't mean it like that. So of course it's not harmful. I'm not being harmful. I'm intending to share love. So how could it possibly be harmful? Nope. You know, I mean, that's what I was doing. So it's interesting to have family or friends just not be aware that they're unaware, you know?
Yeah.
And we live in a little bubble here, but we're lucky because we have so many resources. And I think that, you know, it does spread and it does have a ripple effect, and it is growing, and awareness is happening. So.
Yeah. And I just commend you for like being willing to look at it. And now, like, I feel like you're starting to come out to the other side, right? Because you have a beautiful name that really speaks to
you. And I love it so much. Yeah. Well, and that was, you know, so then it was like, once I moved into, you know, full acceptance of like, this is the right thing to do. And this is part of my evolution, you know, is shedding this. Then it was like, oh shoot, now what though? Now what am I going to name myself? And I've been basically calling myself a soul care practitioner for almost a year now, because I think it's the best way to sum up what I do, because it's not yoga in a yoga studio. It's not, you know, it's such a big umbrella of what I do. And it's like, well, what I do is I care for your soul. Everything that I do is to nourish your soul, to nourish your heart. And so I was really on that word, soul care, soul care, soul care, soul care, soul care. But it didn't, it's like, that's not it. You know, it just didn't. So I meditated on it. I journeyed on it. I wrote it out in so many different ways. I tried, you know, really played with it for a couple of weeks. And after this one really beautiful meditation and journey, that, you know, soul care. And then it was soul friend. And so I got up out of the meditation and I was like, okay, soul friend. Like, what is that? You know, like, and like, what does it mean in other languages? What are other words for this? And so I Googled soul friend, and Anam Cara came up, and it's 2 words, Anam and then Cara, and it means soul friend. It's Gaelic for soul friend. And I was just stopped. What? Oh my gosh. And I have done a lot of work in the last year in trying to connect to my own cultural roots and finding out, you know, what is my makeup and what cultures claim me. I was in earth medicine practitioner school at the Madrona House Apothecary, and my teachers really, that was at the cornerstone of all the work that we did, was like, yeah, but who are you? Who claims you? Where does your medicine come from? And so I found out that I am, you know, I knew that I was German and Irish, you know, was the stories that I grew up with, but very much Irish, and have my great grandfather was a first generation American. His parents both immigrated directly from Ireland. And more Irish on the other sides. And so this word just like landed in my lap, like it's so sweetly, but, and so the name of my business is the Anam Cara Healing Center. And it truly is a place for you to kind of come and find your soul friend and connection.
I love it. Oh my God. That's just so beautiful.
I love it too. There's an amazing author. His name is John Donahue, and he wrote a book called The Anam Cara, and it's essentially a book of you know, Celtic blessings and stories and just ways of being, and it sort of just kind of walks through this story of like different ways that we have Anamkaras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's such a lovely concept, and I'm really excited to share it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just love how like your former business name, like it allowed you to really grow and push
Yes.
past the comfort zone so that you can dig deeper.
Yes.
And then like you had to tap into something like that was soul, like within you to like, okay,
Yes.
what's that? So I love that the word like soul friend came from meditation and journeying,
Yeah.
because that wouldn't have happened if you didn't have like Tribe Life events, you know?
Totally. And that's the thing, is that it's like you have to, some things that have been you know, within our wellness world, our fellow entrepreneurs are always so supportive of what we're doing, right? Sometimes I like to like go to the total other end of the business spectrum and like watch like Shark Tank, and so like I look at people like Mark Cuban though, right, who have had many different business iterations and have had more than one bankruptcy, and like it's I certainly, all I did was evolve, right? Like
Mm.
I had to really, I think a lot of us as well, and this probably who listen to this podcast, we push ourselves to be the best that we can be, and so accepting something that feels like, let's call it a quote unquote failure or a mistake or a misstep, um, man, it can take you like down.
Mm-hmm.
But it really, like, no, this is about, it is growth. And when we started that business, I will tell you right now with 100% transparency, the word spirituality scared the hell out of me. I was still very much connecting back to myself, and remembering who it was that I was in at my heart center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true that I needed, not needed, but the business helped me to not only connect other people to their heart, but myself. And that has also been the most beautiful thing, is realizing when I started Tribe Life events, it was like, well, I can't do any of those things because I'm not healed. I'm not perfect. And what I've learned after so much studying and finally taking my teachers off of their pedestals and realizing that we're all just humans and we're walking this path together, and I don't have to be perfect. We truly are walking the path together, and I'm here to hold space and be your soul friend. Yeah.
Mm. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. Love it, love it.
Oh, thank you. I love you. I can't wait. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, well, first, like, thank you for sharing your story and just being willing to share it, because that's vulnerable. Um,
It is.
and like, yeah, and like you like you as a person, you're just like, I think I've known you for around 2 years. Like you're just super like non-judgmental. Like I can come to you and talk to you about anything. And you have this like very warm, welcoming vibe. So like your space that you're opening, it's going to be such an amazing community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's, my ultimate dream is to have a place that's a little larger than the one I'm starting in. Not a little, a lot larger than the one I'm starting in now. I want the space to be a healing center and to act as a collective space for people to grow and heal and learn and create community in. And so this is a small version of that. And so it's one big room. It'll have an area for me to do my one-on-one sessions with clients for Reiki work and energy medicine. And then there'll be enough of a space for us to do lots of different gatherings, classes, workshops. I want to host meditation classes twice a week. And then, I hope to have I have a few friends that are practitioners that'll probably rent the space for several hours a week. And so already starting to use it as a collective. And then I plan to do, maybe one or two of the workshops a month. And then I really do want, our amazing community to be hosting and sharing their stuff. It's like, I just want it to be a one-stop shop where people can know that they can come and be held and learn and safe, and also literally get the things that their body needs, physically, mentally, and spiritually, so that we can function in this world. Yeah, I'm so excited.
I love that vision. Yeah. What was I was going to say something about just like, like how the space came to be. It was almost like kismet.
Yeah. Oh, it is a fun kind of story. Well, I teach a really great workshop on manifesting and vision boarding, and I had just got done teaching a private one for one of my biggest clients. It was a very well paid big private event, and I was feeling like I had just nailed it and it was awesome. And one of the things that was interesting in the workshop that I had shared, I had brought in my vision board, and I have had on my vision board for multiple years now the space. And everyone who knows me well knows that I'm going to talk about the space. So it's the space. It's always been, right? Because I always have known that's where I'm going, and I can't shake it. And I've gone, I had basically just kind of had another ramp up where I was really actively looking at realtors and redoing my business plan and talking with my husband about, like, we're going all in, house is going on the line, and it's happening, babe. And then also realizing that, like, wait, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. Like putting our house on the line and being like, it didn't feel right. And anyway, I got the sign that it was like, just wait a little bit longer, take a breath. And so I just done this workshop on vision boards and dreams, and that and so I'm sharing my vision board, right? And I'm like, here's the space. And I want to share that what's part of the secret sauce is dreaming so hard and believing it and seeing it and smelling it and like seeing the people. And it's like, it is there, it is done, it's happened. And also being able to simultaneously let it go and walk away. And so I was like, I am currently in the let it go, and it will come to me when it comes. Like, I have been more than clear on what I want, and forcing it isn't right, And so I'm like, I just got done with the workshop and like feeling like, yes, I made it, and simultaneously thinking about the space, and that I truly felt like, yeah, when it's right, it's right. And I'm driving down the street that I drive down 7 times a day. And I have looked at this building many, many times and see a little for rent sign in the window. It was like, what? And I, as I'm like, I'm ready to let the space go. Just like turned and immediately called the person, was like, I have my business plan written. I have my money. I got my, like, you want my credit score? Here it is. Like, I've done the work and I'm your tenant. And so I signed a lease, and then that in and of itself too is a whole nother podcast to talk about. It's dreams, when we want to all believe that, like, okay, if I write the affirmations, I do the vision board, and I do the visioning, I do all the steps, that it's going to be easy. And like, none of this work is ever going to be easy, guys. Heads up. Like, I just read Gabby Bernstein's newest book, Super Attractor. And I loved that she talked about, basically, this is her 7th book, and she still has to do the work every day to stay in alignment. And that just because she's Gabby Bernstein and she has all of these privileges that she has, she still has the self-doubt. She still has the life trucks that come at you, right? Like, life isn't going to stop happening. And so it's all about how we move with it, And so I am still, as I like have money invested, construction has started, like, I'm also still very clear that I need to be ready to walk away too. Right? Like, because what's right for me is right for me. And I need to be ready to walk away from my first business iteration. And, you know, that's the work. And it is, yeah, it's beautiful. It's, yeah. Yeah.
I love your, just like your awareness around it and your like the unattachment.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like, yeah.
That's certainly an active practice.
Yeah, totally. Cause like our ego wants to like cling on to what we, you know, our desires. And at the end of the day, it's like, you're not alone in this, like you're in partnership with the divine, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Or that has taken me, you know, this entire year, I mean, many years, but this last year has been about reconnecting to that, to saying the words, God, goddess, divine. That was some scary territory for me, you know, because I had kind of shut it down for so long because I was, you know, so it's been a beautiful reconnecting, but man, when you do operate from that flow state and from the state of like, even when it's hard, I'm still being protected and loved and guided. And,
yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, this might be a different topic and we have to like close our interview soon, but like, I remember when we were talking, like, you know, back in, maybe it was when you were realizing like just the cost of having, like creating a space and you haven't found your current space yet. That you realize as a projector, it was like for you to wait for the invite. And I just love that.
And that has been showing up. Once I realized that, and I'm still really learning about my human design traits and characteristics. But once I realized it also has been what has held me back in like finally making the decision on a lot of things. I realized, wow, I get really stuck in fear because there's nobody giving me permission as an entrepreneur. I don't have a business partner that's like, yes, option A. Like, I don't want someone to necessarily lead me, right? Like, I'm creative as hell. I've got all the ideas. I just want somebody to say, that's the one though. Go with that one first. And so that's been learning to work with that has been a really interesting process. And I'm really excited to have the knowledge because it's like, oh, when I'm hung up, I can reach out, you know, and I can kind of like almost seek that.
Yeah.
We can not seek it, but you know what I mean? Like,
it's like, you want to make it happen. So you want to like be that initiator.
And at least just know like, oh, that's what's holding me up. It's not that it's, you know, suck at this and I'm not creative and I should just abandon it and just screw it. You know, it's like, oh no, you're tripping out, girl, because baby girl, you
well, I just remembered like when we were talking about like just as a projector, like for you, it was like, oh, like it really serves you to wait for the invitation. And it was like, so you were like letting go of like, okay, I got to make it happen on my own and letting things just come to you and unfold. And it was like through our communication, like maybe a few months after that I felt like you found your space because you were letting the attachment of it, like having it happen go.
Totally.
And so I was like, that is just
the red sign was the invitation.
Yes, exactly.
I had stopped actively looking. And that was the invitation because you know, it's a whole nother podcast too, but I've had lots of premonitions about the work that I would do. I've pieced that together over the last year, like, oh wow, this has actually been coming together for a long time. And this specific space, it's in between my son's school and then my in-laws' house and on a street that I take as a back road like 7 times a day. And so I have driven by this space many times and looked at it and been like, oh, look at this little cutie pop. Wouldn't that be fun for me? That would be a great little space for me. I could have a little plant right there. And I could, you know, like I've driven by it and seen myself in it. So it's so fun to then, the for rent sign was the invitation.
Yeah, that is so good. And I think I've shared this with you. I don't know if you remember, but I dreamt one night that you had a beautiful space and it was like the space was too small. Like it was outgrowing. So just,
I remember that. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to outgrow it immediately, but it's the perfect way for me to, and my family, to sort of take the step on this journey without, risking our entire livelihood. And and I give my family and my husband credit for like being willing to stand by me and potentially go all in, but this is a nice little tweener step before we decide, let's go all in. So it's the start, and I'm really excited.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you for letting me share about it.
Of course. Oh my gosh. More people need to know about your work. So I know you're more local to the area, like Seattle based, like Issaquah area, but how can people learn more about you and follow you?
Yeah, so for right now, I'm right in the middle of changing my website, but currently you can find me on Instagram and, my website. And then all of that, if you start following me now, or you get connected to my newsletter now via my website, all of that will just end up linking to the new stuff. So it's Tribe Life Events. And you can just go there for now. And then pretty soon it'll be the Anam Cara Healing Center.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story and your voice.
Love you.
Love you. And for our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, please share it and tag both of us on Instagram at Tribe Life Events and at michellewong.xo. And then, share with people who you think will definitely resonate and can learn from this. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thanks, Michelle. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Join our free private Facebook group community, Sacred Emergence, to receive more connection, guidance, and support. And take part in our 5-day Inner Confidence Challenge to not only boost your confidence, but to help activate your inner leadership. Details in the show notes. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.